Friends and enemies, welcome back to the Canadian Bitcoiners podcast, the mighty CBP. My name is Joey, that's Len. Abbreviated show tonight because Elon and Donald decided they're going to schedule over us at 8 o'clock. So we are going to tear through as much quality Bitcoin content as we can and give you the exciting hour and change that you're accustomed to. Buddy, what's going on over there? How the heck are you? Great to see you.
Good, yeah, everything's great, Joe. Yeah, it's going to be, like you said, an abbreviated episode. I'm not sure what we're going to be cutting today, but there's going to be something that's going to be lost, unfortunately. Whatever, it is what it is. How are you, Joey?
I'm great, and no complaints. Let's not drag this out too long. Housekeeping from last week had Kevin Muir on the show. Awesome show. I saw we usually do 1,000 or 2,000 plays on Twitter over the several accounts or whatever. And I noticed that just the CBP account had close to 5,000 views on that Kevin Muir interview. So I appreciate you guys watching that. It was really a lot of fun talking to him, and he had some very kind words for us and the show afterward. As always, we try and be professional, even when people may disagree with our points of view. And Kev, it was really great to go a little longer than we had scheduled, even though I didn't get to stretch for football, but we'll save that story for another time. This week, more births, and I'm going to be talking tomorrow night. Len, he was just retweeted by Elon Musk yesterday, this fella.
Wow. That's
some stuff related to declining birth rates in the Western world. So we're going to have a nice conversation geared on Canada, geared toward Canada, centered on Canada, because he's got some good research and some thoughts on what's gone wrong here in the Great White North. Tonight, as always, 3 sponsors. EasyDNS, the presenting sponsor of CBP. Mark has been a great friend to the show, and actually I had lunch with him today on a separate separate endeavor that I'm forcing him into that I won't mention here. But good to see him as always. And no matter what you're doing when it comes to DNS, Mark is your guy. He's a friendly neighborhood registrar, security focused, easy to use, best prices, best service in the game. There ain't anybody in the same realm. No one in the ballpark. Whether you want to do registrar stuff, so you want to get a website, buy a domain, bring a domain over, Mark will help you with that. Whether you want to do virtual private server stuff, Mstr relays, Bitcoin nodes, the like, or other stuff, Mark is always the guy to go to. He's helped us with a lot over the years, and he'll help you too. So if you want to go, pay him a visit. CBP Media is the code. Get a discount, half off, whatever you buy your first round. And, make sure you tell him we sent you. And say hi to him in the chat and all those good things. He's probably going to be in the chat tonight, although I'm not sure. He mentioned that he has some stuff going on. So, yeah, very happy to have a partner like him. Who else we got, Len?
Bull Bitcoin. Right? Bull's on the list, right? Of course they're on the list.
Is Bull Bitcoin circling the drain like Swan?
No.
Are they selling shit coins like Coinbase?
We could talk about what's going on with Swan later on, at least the rumors. Maybe not. Either way, Bull Bitcoin. Let's focus on Bull Bitcoin because that's where we're at. So if you're in Canada, you want to buy Bitcoin, you want to sell Bitcoin, Bull's got you covered because you could do that. You could do that with Lightning. You could do that with on-chain. Look, Lightning is good when the fees are high. On-chain is good when fees are low. Fees are very low right now. So my opinion, I would say take advantage while they're low and continually buy and sell on-chain, but I wouldn't really sell. That's my opinion, but do what you got to do. This is your Bitcoin. You can do whatever you want. Lots of different things you could do over there. I'm not going to be leaving for BM. That's the rumor. No, definitely not the rumor. Right? Bull Bitcoin. Let's talk about them. So you could start paying your bills with your Bitcoin. So you have bought a lot of Bitcoin over the years. You have a big stack, small stack, whatever the heck you have. But you want to use that. Well, one way you could use that, Bull Bitcoin could say, well, you could pay your bills with your Bitcoin. So you have an electricity bill you want to pay or car payment, whatever. You could then facilitate that payment with Bull Bitcoin and use your Bitcoin for the payment. That's really cool stuff. You could also buy gift cards with Bull Bitcoin. And what would you do with that? Well, you could just start spending your Bitcoin, quote unquote, in the real world. It's hard to spend it right now, Bitcoin in the real world directly, but this is one way you could do it indirectly. So you could buy like a Home Depot gift card or whatever. So that's one way you can start spending your Bitcoin. If you haven't opened an account, do that. Promo codes below. I know there's been people buying. One person in particular bought a crap load this past week.
50K. 50K.
Hey, I don't want to say how much.
I tweeted it. I tweeted it out. I said, listen, we can't see who bought it, but I can see the size of the buys. That's a big buy. If you want to come on the show, open it.
Yeah.
Open it. So,
that goes to show you people are bullish on Bull Bitcoin and people are bullish on Bitcoin. So yeah, check it out. Great place to buy your Bitcoin, sell it. A lot of different things you can do there.
100% Decentral Tech, final sponsor. I added the text to the show, Len. Did you see the description of the show? I added the decentral text.
No, I did not.
I basically just went to their website and looked at
Copy and paste.
Jonathan, I hope you don't mind. Look, there's a lot going on in Bitcoin mining. We talk on this show all the time about how there's certain things you can do as a Bitcoiner to become part of the network. One is running a node. Of course, I don't do that. I'm an idiot. One is mining. And, mining has become this thing that's been completely industrialized and professionalized, and it's all suits and power purchase agreements and la, 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 la. Look, it doesn't have to be this way, man. Okay. You can get a miner from Jonathan and the decentral guys, the BitAxe. This thing is incredible. Open source, hardware, software, put brains on it, point it to whatever pool you want, have fun with it, impress your wife, impress your friends. Your Tinder date is going to love when you bring her back to your home, apartment, whatever, and she sees the BitAxe. She'll be texting your friends right away. Oh my goodness, he's got a BitAxe. He's hashing this guy. Not only that, but if you want to get something a little more heavy duty with some more firepower, they got your back there too. You need to repair a board on a miner you have, they got your back. They even do hosting. It's not the focus of their service, but they'll help you with that too. The best in the business. Like all our sponsors, the best in the business. Go to Decentral Tech. Start your home mining journey today. I haven't bought one yet. I'm waiting for the Hex. When the Hex comes out, and I will both buy one.
You mean the Hex with the S21 chip, you mean?
Yes.
There's a Hex right now with the S19 chips.
The brand new one, okay?
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm going to put it up in my house. I already told my wife. She doesn't care. I explained to her that a small miner, a BitAxe, hit a block. What was that, 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago now? Something like that?
Something like that. She won't even notice if you have it just plugged in somewhere. It's so quiet.
My BitAxe is going to be so small, she won't even notice it. And I'll tell you, Len, there's something to be said about that phrase. But anyway, yeah, Dave Bradley in the chat saying the same thing. Listen, we got the best sponsors. Go patronize them. Spend your hard-earned money with these guys. I mean, shit, we do. And, so far it's been good for us. It'll be good for you too. We wouldn't steer you wrong. Okay, where do you want to start? We got lots to talk about.
I got 5
boosts.
Right. I just want to, the bird, he sends in 2 different boosts, each 500 sats. And this is with respect to your interview you did last week. So the first one he writes is always a good show. And the second one, he says, great show. I'm going to check out his show out.
Yeah.
Nice to hear differing perspectives. So
I like Market Huddle. Kev only has the only perspective he has that's different than the one we have on this show is that Bitcoin is not going to work. And he gives some, there's, again, guys in the traditional financial space have concerns that I think are framed by their time in the traditional finance space. I disagree with Kev on some of the things he's concerned about in Bitcoin. But if you listen to that hour and 20 minutes, you're going to be nodding your head an awful lot. And he's got some great perspective on stuff like what's going on in Japan, on stuff like what's going on here with Canada and the dollar, housing, why or how Tiff Macklem, missed so many different things. It was a really good interview. And he doesn't pull his punches. Why? Because he doesn't need to. He's working for himself. He's earning his own money. He doesn't report to any god. So he's very, very sharp. And I recommend people listen to the Market Huddle. I think it's a good show. If you like the way me and Len talk to each other, you will like the way that Kevin and Patrick talk to each other. They're very good friends, the same way we are, and it shows in the content. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hope you check them out.
Doom Damazim, 521 sats. Thank you for your time. If only most listeners would throw a loony or 2 your way. Agreed.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I appreciate your time. The Bitcoin Viking, 1,000 sats. This is a good one, Joey. He says, I'm a manager at a unionized food manufacturing plant, and we have used foreign workers. We have a big, quote unquote, now hiring sign out front for 4 years, and we'll hire pretty much anyone that walks in, but nobody seems to want physical labor jobs. When locals actually show up for their interview, go through all the training, half of them just ghost the next shift, never to be heard from again. Believe me, it's easier to use locals than to navigate government programs, but they need to show up.
Yeah.
That is interesting. That's something we didn't take into consideration.
We did
There
not.
may be some things people just don't want to do, which is too bad.
The expectation is tied to a couple of things, right? Everyone is trying to keep up with the Joneses, thanks to stuff like these. Len has to go switch his laundry. He told me he was going to do that. Thanks to these like, day in the life TikTok videos of like the 22-year-old project manager that just fucking sits on the rooftop and eats free oatmeal all day before heading to yoga and going home to her, soy boy husband or boyfriend fake DJing in the kitchen for their tiny dog that can be killed by a mousetrap. Thanks to videos like that. Everyone thinks they deserve this sort of laptop jockey life. First of all, you may not even want that. Second of all, that's not the first step in your working journey ever. So to expect that, I think, is wrong. And you're right. I think that I think a lot of people need to start showing up, not just for jobs, but in general. The phrase, half of success is showing up. Really, has sort of disappeared from the modern day vernacular, but it should be making a comeback, in my opinion.
Shirtless Summer, 2100 sats.
Nice. Great
Another
name.
one for you, Joey. Some sats for Joey's heart meds. His heart rate was thumping when talking about companies filling jobs that they can't find Canadians for. Don't worry, though. The next politician will fix this. Don't be a jamming on us, Joey. We need you.
Don't be a jamming. What's that, like having a heart attack? No, I'm not going to be I'm not going to get coincidence. I only got 2 vaccine shots anyway. So, Len's nodding away. He's like, yeah, there goes. He's watching the monetization fly out the window.
No, whatever.
Any other boosts, or is that it?
That's the 5.
Thank you so much, guys. I have 2 spots left in the CBP Fantasy Football League. If you want them, text me, message me, whatever. No one has my phone number. If you have my phone number somehow and you text me, you get a spot. But I would assume that most people just DM. Hit me up. I put it in our Discord, the CBP Discord, which you should all be in. So if you want, join that. The link is there. And I'm taking the next 2 people. 50K sats to play, 12 teams, half PPR. Draft is at the end of August. See you there. Let's go. Where are we starting?
Oh, one last thing. I just want to say a big thanks to Tom Karadza. I was there at his office helping out one of his staff members with a cold card issue. Just want to give a shout out to Tom, not to Nick because he's still in Croatia. I didn't see him, so I can't say very much, but he's still a cool dude. So shout out to Nick as well, although I didn't.
I actually forgot. I'll be on that show on Friday. I'm going to go to Oakville on Friday to record an episode with them. So that'll be fun.
Very good.
Yeah.
Nick's back. He wasn't when I was there last week.
I mean, Tom messaged me, so I don't know. I do have Nick's number, but yeah, there you go. Yeah, to Boomer's question, are we doing a live draft? Yes, we're doing a live draft. We may even stream it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
Do it, stream it. Have all the fun and everything that goes along with it. No cuts, just fucking do it live. Anyways, let's talk about what's going on in the Bitcoin world. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
All right. A couple of weeks back, we talked about Marathon buying up $100 million worth of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And they also mentioned that they're going to be invoking a new HODL strategy for almost all of the Bitcoin, or nearly all the Bitcoin that they mine moving forward. Well, today, they announced they're going to be borrowing $250 million more dollars. And this is going to be used for what they say primarily to acquire Bitcoin and for general corporate purposes. So it's very much the same jargon that was from the last time, from that $100 million to now this $250 million purchase. This is a massive buy. This is MSTR strategy, but it's being played out by a publicly traded miner.
Yeah.
And the question really remains then is, look, the price of Bitcoin is what, 60K
ish, give or take.
59.
Yeah.
So is this a gamble, a good strategy, a recipe for disaster? Like, what is it right now? Is one thing when MicroStrategy did it when Bitcoin was, depressed, but then again, hindsight is 2020. At the time, who knows what would happen to the price of Bitcoin? But now these guys are buying Bitcoin, a lot of it, when the price is around, say, $60,000. I'm not saying that things are going to go wrong, but let's look at what happened in the past. Core Scientific, for instance, they leveraged themselves up to the tits, and that was done in a cheap rate environment. That was cheap that we had at that time. Soon after that, that was no longer cheap, and they filed for Chapter 11. So I'm not saying that's going to happen here with Marathon. If anything, I suspect debt will likely become cheaper moving forward. So there's a chance they could potentially even refinance the existing debt that they announced for more favorable terms in the future. So that's a possibility. But there's always an element of risk when you're taking on debt. In this case, look, they're using that to buy Bitcoin. That's even more of a risk. But either way, I'm wondering why they chose this method, taking on debt rather than dilution. it seems like dilution may be the least risky method moving forward. It might piss off a lot of investors, but in terms of having things go sideways, it seems like that's less likely going to happen with dilution. But then I'm looking at, through my eyes in the basement, so I'm not seeing the whole picture here. Maybe you want to add some flavor to this, Joey.
I don't know. Look, there's a lot of companies have embraced this buy Bitcoin thing over the last 2 years. It started with BitFarms. They were the first to do it. They call this their synthetic HODL strategy. It's not the same as what Mara or Marathon is doing, but it's basically this idea that you can get Bitcoin for cheaper by buying it either through equity dilution or taking a loan. These guys did at the money, these guys did a debt offering to get this. I don't know, Len, do you think that there's something to be said for these guys just trying to acquire as much right now as possible in terms of their, sort of predictive power? BitFarms did it. These guys are doing it. You have a couple of companies doing it, Mstr, MetaPlanet. There's one other one that was kicking around a little while ago.
Semler Scientific.
Semler, exactly.
And there's one other I forget. DeFi Technologies.
DeFi. Like there's a bunch, right? And so these guys are all buying. Maybe there's a change in legislation on the horizon. I think a lot of this is also a bet that Trump wins in November. There's that to consider. It's a bet on global instability continuing to accelerate. I think there's something to be said for that. There's all sorts of angles you could take on this as to why you'd want it now, even at what could be, I don't want to say, apocalyptic cost down the road, but it has been apocalyptic in the past for certain publicly traded companies, as you mentioned. I just think that it's a bet on the next 6 months really having a lot of Bitcoin tailwinds as opposed to headwinds. And, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I don't have a Marathon stock position, so I don't really care. But it's a data point for people who are buying Bitcoin and people who are buying these companies. Here's what these guys are doing. Here's why. Now, here's a question for you. Wouldn't it be, how would you feel if they told you that we've been doing Slipstream for 5 months, 6 months, whatever it's been, out of band transactions, and we're taking all the money we've made on out of band transactions and we're buying Bitcoin with it? Now, there's something they should be doing as opposed to whatever this debt offering is. Maybe they're doing both. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. If they're borrowing money in order to do this, I'm assuming then the money that they're getting from Slipstream is being funneled into one way or another buying some Bitcoin as well, or at least keeping the lights on, which helps them, in this case, borrow the money to buy Bitcoin. So indirectly, Slipstream may be helping them get more Bitcoin.
I actually put Mark's comment up there, but I do want to mention it. I said the BitFarm synthetic HODL thing. For people who didn't watch the episode with Jeff Lucas, we talked about the synthetic HODL. It's them hodling what they mine, buying, and then also using options to hedge. So they're, not quite the same as just buy, hold, or dilute, buy, whatever. They have some stuff on the back end too that Jeff went into detail on. So you can go back and watch that episode if you want to learn more.
And you know that they reported a $27 million loss. I'm talking about BitFarms in Q2 2024. Yeah. It just came out. So it's just, it's every month is every quarter is another big loss, and that's significant. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, we didn't talk about it, but I had in my notes a few weeks back that Riot now has, I think, more than 15% of all the shares of BitFarms. They passed that some time ago.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? You were saying behind the scenes that there could be, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's a poison pill situation.
There is a poison pill provision. Jeff talked about that too, that they'll dilute shareholders to get that percentage down.
So there you go. They
are not going to give up their operation to Riot under any circumstances. And why should they? It's not that I don't like the guys at Riot. Like Pierre obviously has been on the show. I think Pierre's a top 5 Bitcoiner, honestly. But it's just, it's not an option for them. They're not going to give it up. And so that poison pill provision is in there. There's a name for it, a technical term as well, but it's generally referred to as a poison pill. Yeah. Why would they give it up? That's a company they've built an entire, like a huge brand around that company. And Ben has built a brand around himself and around that company. And now he's the CEO. I mean, bullish, I guess. That's what I would say. I'm not buying, nor do I recommend that anyone else buy. In fact, I don't recommend anyone do anything. I never give advice on this program, but
just definitely not financial advice.
Yeah. Relationship advice. Yes. Weightlifting advice. Yes.
What financial, like it's,
no.
Maybe picking the right pick for
fantasy football advice. Yes. We did an entire show. If you're on this stream and you want to see another fantasy football review, please let me know. Cause I'm talking to Adam Azer from CBS. He's a big fish. Pat Mayo was a big fish last year. This guy's an even bigger fish. And I think with just a couple of tweets from you guys, we could probably get him to sit down with us for 45 minutes and talk some football. Anyway, go to the next story. What else we got?
So talk about Madden. No, we'll talk about CleanSpark. This is a potential example as to why one would want to stay away from this particular company. But this is just, my opinion, just, more tongue in cheek more than anything else. I'm going to preface that this is always solely for fun. There's not financial advice. This is all satire, blah, blah, blah. Take this as entertainment value. But with that out of the way, CleanSpark, they've been doing the right thing for a very long time, right? Like they didn't leverage themselves up like other companies did in pre-2022. CleanSpark remained calm during that time. They waited. They bought equipment when the market was depressed. They expanded at a fraction of the cost that others did. So you look at that, and they did the right thing all along. And we talked at length what's going to be moving forward with these pure Bitcoin miners, especially the publicly traded ones. But CleanSpark now may finally have a blemish on the record, and it may have taken all this time before they finally get here, and I'll explain why. A person by the name of Penny Ether on X did some analysis on the latest quarter that was reported.
This is a great account, by the way, if you're not following this. We've talked about this account in the past a few times without even really knowing.
And so this person did some analysis on CleanSpark on their latest quarter, and it was reported that, comparing to the previous quarters, expenses are up, and they're up considerably. And this could be attributed to some major purchases, perhaps, and I can talk about that in a moment. But they did mention they have a lot of older equipment and that it's less efficient, they'll be taking offline. So I assume they're going to be selling that and recouping the cost. So that's actually a good thing. Hash rate for CleanSpark is increasing. They added another 1 exahash in the month of July. Good, that's very good. But they have a lot of newer equipment, they say, and I assume this is going to be S21s that's going to be being plugged in. So all this is rather good. But I think the golden touch has finally come to an end, because one of the expenses that is being reported is that they bought a jet, a private jet, Joey, right? Like a fucking jet. Like what the fuck does a Bitcoin miner have to do with a private jet? Like $11 million. Maybe, and I'm trying to give them some leeway here. Maybe it's a way to get technicians from A to B quicker, because they have locations throughout the United States, Georgia, New York, Mississippi, and Wyoming. So they're geographically, that's pretty spread out. So maybe there's a case to have a private jet that sends technicians from A to B, and it's going to be like much cheaper to do it. But I don't know, man. Something doesn't smell right with the sniff test here. Like a private jet, like I don't know. Hopefully they're doing the right thing and you're not using this thing for joyrides and you're taking advantage of all the perks that come along with owning a company. But fuck, man, why did they need a private jet? Like,
great question.
If you are a shareholder, you fucking paid for them to get one. Are you happy with that?
Maintaining it, fueling it, flying it. Yeah, it's not great, is it?
I personally don't, unless they're mining with it somehow. They're using this. I don't know how they would use it, but you know what I mean? Like to me, it just doesn't make sense. And I don't know, maybe they're using it in a way that it works for them. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here. I'd love to hear why, but until then, again, I'm scratching this thing, I'm sniffing, and it doesn't smell fucking good at all. And I think they finally got a blemish in the record, which is too bad.
Well, I mean, the thing to I think keep in mind is, do you trust a company who is in an industry that you must be lean in, must be properly allocating capital in, must be focused on efficiencies in? Do you trust that company after they buy a jet to do all those things properly and put shareholders first? I don't know. It's possible that there's some rationale for this, as you mentioned, but it's pretty damning. Like the Penny Ether review is not great, and the jet thing is not great either. You and I have spoken over the years, especially in the last 6 months, honestly, Len, about how mining is the kiss of death for companies that are not squarely focused on being as efficiently ruthless in that industry as possible. We've seen what happened to Swan. There's clear M&A happening all over the place. Guys, like companies who had huge first mover advantages are being upended by companies that are a little smaller, a little more agile, a little more focused. Think about Hut, think about Marathon, think about Core, all these companies, right? And, there's competition now that just didn't exist before, because people are realizing that there's a lot more to mining than just being able to rack and stack S21s and go from there. And, I want to hear an explanation. We've had Matt Schultz on the program before. It was a good interview. We were probably a year ago or 2 years ago now. I think he's a competent CEO. I think he's a good guy too, to be honest with you. I just want to know why the jet, And the thing about Penny Ether is that it's a big enough account that he's probably going to see those tweets. And so, do you have to respond to that? I don't know. You're kind of living in a world where you're constantly in the press arena in Bitcoin, whether you want to be or not. And Penny Ether is making a couple of good points here and asking some good questions. Why did you spend this money when your bottom line doesn't look that great? What's the rationale here? We got to know, especially for shareholders. This is why, I don't know. I think you and me both held positions in miners when we were starting the show, but I don't hold any now. I don't think you hold any now.
No.
Yeah. So I don't know why. I still have a hard time understanding why you'd buy the stock. And I asked Jeff from BitFarms that, and he answered as best as he could. And I don't think he gave me any spin. I don't know if I agree with his answer, but I would love for someone to tell me why, if you need high beta, why not just buy Bitcoin or buy Nvidia or buy Meta or buy whatever, right? Like if that's what you want, you're much less at risk. You're much less exposed to these types of things in those companies than you are here. The thing about, $1 trillion market cap companies is you can absorb mistakes with cash, but you can't absorb mistakes with cash in Bitcoin mining. In fact, one mistake could knock you out. It's just that ruthless. And as we talked about before, what you're going to see over the next year is a lot of people getting into Bitcoin mining, at the nation state level. I think at the energy producer level, these small third world countries are going to start getting it. Like these are entities you don't want to be competing with and having a jet on your balance sheet. It's not a great idea to be doing this. And I think you owe shareholders an answer, quite frankly.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And that's why I'm giving them the benefit of doubt in terms of them providing an explanation as to why it is they bought it and in what purpose and how it's going to be advancing their company moving forward. But like I said, man, the sniff test it reeks, unfortunately.
Yeah. And D in the chat saying the same thing. People want to outperform Bitcoin any way they can. And it's just everyone has a favorite derivative, but they never work. They might work in a month or a year, but 5 years, they don't work.
It's like gambling.
Work. Yeah.
It's like you go to the casino, you might win once playing poker or blackjack, whatever, but in the long run, the house will always win.
Agreed.
When are we going to get the private jet? Boomdust is asking.
I don't know.
Do you think it's time?
Is there any on Facebook Marketplace? My YouTube Shorts algo has this an old man. He's probably in his 50s or 60s, sharp dressed guy who sells private jets. I skip a lot of YouTube Shorts.
No, fucking read into
I usually watch this guy's. Yeah, I think they're pretty good. He's pretty he does a good job explaining why and what and how private jet sales go. Pretty neat.
Well, you have to go in second hand. Maybe that shitty one that they had in Major League, the Cleveland Indians jet.
You think it's open?
Maybe if it's still airworthy, we can still fly it. Maybe
we can get a puddle jumper, can't we? Like, doesn't Boeing have some dead stock? I mean, they had a pretty rough year. Don't they have a couple of planes they don't think can fly?
I don't know if they could maintain flight. That's the problem.
We don't need to fly. I listen. You never said we got to fly in the jet. We just need to own the jet. I thought that was the whole
that's actually very good. Very good point. Could you imagine?
Own the jet?
Yeah. All right. LinkedIn, Joey. LinkedIn. And so, I'm not sure if you heard about this, but they're being naughty lately because the first story I came across this past week was Ben Justman, and you had a chat with him not too long ago about the wine he's producing. Yeah. Peony Lane, I think is the name of it. Either way, I may have mispronounced it. Well, he posted on X that LinkedIn removed all his posts that he made about Bitcoin and wine. And he's not the only one noticing this as well. Others are noting the same thing. Post after post about Bitcoin, they're being deleted because it goes against the professional community guidelines as per LinkedIn. I don't understand.
The only thing you can say on LinkedIn is how you just, gave a homeless guy a penny and here's 50 things it taught you about starting a SaaS business. I fucking hate LinkedIn. Anyway, go ahead. Continue.
Well, Francis from Bull Bitcoin even was saying that Bull Bitcoin has been banned from both LinkedIn and Facebook for what they call arbitrary reasons for promoting their product.
Hold on. I got to stop you right here. Do you see this comment from Twitter? We can't reply to the Twitter comment, but listen, I know you're listening. V, God bless you, buddy. That's a great comment. I'm glad that we were able to help and that we contributed to something for you guys. That's fantastic.
So yeah, going back to LinkedIn, they're owned by Microsoft, right? Like Microsoft purchased LinkedIn not too long ago.
Are they?
That's the last I remember. Yeah. And Microsoft was one of the first companies out there that enabled Bitcoin purchases. They were years ago, they allowed people to pay for subscription services like Xbox Live or whatever at the time with Bitcoin. So they at least had knowledge of it. They had exposure and they were kind of favorable to it to allow, you know, accepting it. They were one of the big first vendors to allow it. So something is strange here that they would just arbitrarily go ahead and start banning Bitcoin posts. This is 2024. It's not 2017, right? Think of everything that's transpired in the past, never mind the past few years, even just this year. Now you have ETFs that were approved. And I'm not trying to say that that's a good thing that people should invest their money in. But look, if traditional finance is looking at Bitcoin, if a potential future president is talking about Bitcoin, there's a lot here that it doesn't make sense to me why LinkedIn just decided to turn their back on Bitcoin and say, hey, we're going to start deleting all these posts. It's kind of bullshit if you ask me. I don't understand. I don't know what to make of this.
Pablo from Bill Bitcoin in the chat. They're back on LinkedIn, but they stripped all of our followers, but they are, quote, working on it. Listen, LinkedIn, Microsoft's an arm of the government at this point, right? I'm pretty sure. Teams is malware. Windows is malware, even though I'm on Windows everywhere I look here. I don't know why we expect any of these guys to care about freedom, whether it's of speech or of money at all. They will never care about these things. And one of the reasons they're not going to care about these things is because it's detrimental to not only their bottom line, but their ability to control the narrative. And as an arm of the government, that is your primary responsibility these days. I don't know if you noticed today, Len, but there's an interview between Elon Musk and a presidential candidate that shall not be named on this program, lest we get censored. The European Union is writing Elon Musk saying that they need to censor that conversation to avoid misinformation and disinformation. These people fucking hate you. And they hate you because you're learning that everything you see on TV isn't real. And they're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that you don't see any opposing viewpoints or alternative options when it comes to freedom of speech, when it comes to official narrative, and sure as shit when it comes to money. And the more that the Bitcoin message gets out, the more people embrace it. Like we've talked about before, not everyone goes from fiat to Bitcoin, but nobody goes from Bitcoin back to fiat. Nobody. And that's something that I think really worries the powers that be. And to pretend this is anything else, like a mistake, blah, 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 I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. The same way I don't buy that Google doesn't manipulate the algorithm. The same way I don't buy that Facebook doesn't down-regulate things that are controversial during election season. The same way I don't buy that Russia is behind every boogeyman and negative outcome for the Democratic Party the last 8 years. I just don't fucking buy it. Why should I? Why should anybody believe these guys? Just forget it. Listen, Pablo, Bull Bitcoin. I don't know what you guys are doing on LinkedIn. I don't know if you have to have LinkedIn, but
It was that and Facebook, by the way. It was not just simply LinkedIn.
Like it's just
I know this is a LinkedIn
Facebook.
story.
There you go. You know, like it's everywhere. It's everywhere. These guys, they effing hate you. And the more that you give them your business and engage with them on equal footing, oh, something happened to my account. They know what happened to your account. They know. They don't care. And the only way you're going to get, you're ever going to be on equal footing with them and, truly equal footing with them is to have them disrupted by sound money. We're on that path, but there's going to be bumps along the way, right?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Celsius.
Yeah.
Talk about them again because they're going down.
Did you look at the show DMs on this? I haven't looked at them yet. Should I pull them up? Do we want to pull them up?
What do you mean the show DMs?
Someone who wrote us last week during the show, I saw.
Oh, yeah. He wrote us an email, Narwhal Tacos.
An email, okay.
And he even mentioned we could say his name on. So yeah, it's a really cool email. He talks about it. Talks about his situation, what he went through, but he's not like this is different than what he's going through. This is they're suing people for people that were taking their money off Celsius before it went tits up. This one here, they're going after Tether, and Tether's now on the receiving end of a lawsuit, and it's all for a totally different reason. Celsius is looking to recoup some $3.5 billion due to misappropriation of assets. And the claim is that the amount will make Celsius whole and cover the Bitcoin and that Tether took off the exchange as well as damages as legal fees. So anyways, this is fucking bullshit because I'm not a Tether sit, right? Like I don't give a shit about Tether, and I don't really give a fuck about them. They could, truthers, I don't give a fuck. But personally, I think they found a cheat code here. Like, they're using dollars to buy up debt and use that proceeds to buy Bitcoin, rinse and repeat until something happens. But with respect to Celsius, shame on them for this bullshit. Not only for going after plebs, but I think for this one, because Celsius is suing in the amount of a little over 57,000 BTC, or the current market dollar equivalent, plus damages and legal fees. The gist of this is that Tether loaned Celsius some US dollar Tether. And this took place during the bankruptcy stage of Celsius. And the collateral that Tether got in return for lending out the USDT was Bitcoin. So as the Bitcoin dropped in price, because it did afterwards, more collateral was required by Celsius as per agreement. And Celsius is making the claims that they were liquidated at the price point that almost exactly covered a debt without giving it an opportunity to provide additional collateral. I don't know how they had all this money associated, all this Bitcoin, all this everything. They were in a bankruptcy situation. They weren't able to meet all their obligations. Now they're going after Tether. Tether has the ability to lawyer up. It's not like a pleb that if they get something like this, it fucking sucks because they're up against Celsius, who probably has quite a big legal team behind them. Tether's going to fucking get a legal team that's going to dwarf Celsius.
It's not going to be Jackie from Seinfeld representing Tether. No,
Jackie Charles is not going to be part of this one. So I don't know why they're going. Like, it seems like they're throwing shit on a wall, seeing what sticks, and then getting whatever they can and using that as a way to pay off their creditors moving forward. Celsius has been shitty for years, but now it just gets even more shitty. The fact that they went bankrupt is pretty fucking bad, but now to fucking throw out lawsuit after lawsuit, so these I would say are frivolous in my opinion. To try to just strike it gold, come on guys. Like, I don't know who's giving them legal advice, but I think they're just barking up the wrong tree over here.
I don't know. I know Narwhal said we could share some of this. I'm hesitant to share. Like, I have the email up here, but I think it's relevant to this Tether Celsius suit. But I'll share it.
His story is similar to a whole bunch of others, though, in terms of
the point. The point, though, is in the last paragraph. I think there's some value there for what you've been saying in the last few minutes. One of the large legal entities that's involved in this is known for involving themselves in large legal situations in a predatory fashion. I don't know which entity, I don't know what that means, but for another person in the legal industry to say that about a certain company tells you that maybe there's, like you said, kind of a try everything, see what sticks, and try and get back as many assets as you can. It sounds like in Tether's case, they will not be so lucky. And Paulo, the CEO of Tether, Paulo Arduino, whatever his last name is, who I would love to have on this show. I should really try and make that happen.
We're 1 degree away from him. I know some.
Yeah. Of course. No, we definitely are. I would love to get him on. And what I would ask him is, how do you guys view something like this where you're being painted as a bad guy? It was trendy for a long time to paint them as a bad guy. And if I had to guess, Len, I would say that somewhere in the, the annals of the Celsius legal strategy shack, there's someone who says, no one likes Tether. We should try and get money from them and paint them as an evil entity in this whole thing. And it'll be a PR hit that they won't want, and they'll settle out of court. I don't think that's actually true anymore.
No, because did you see the tweet by Paulo on Twitter?
No, what did he say? No.
So he was basically defending their actions, and they're not going to fucking settle.
Of course,
they're going to fucking take this to court.
Of course, they should
crush them. And again, I'm not a Tether sip. I don't give a fuck about them, but just looking at the reality, justice is justice, and these guys deserve justice to be served.
Yeah, I don't think. Listen, they're like 2 years, maybe more, late in terms of being able to get Tether to bend the knee. And they ain't bending the knee on this one, and nor should they. I think they should. If Tether, what Tether should do, honestly, Tether should front the legal fee for, as Narwhal's saying, the 2,500 people that received the same summons he did. They should front the legal fee for all of them and say, you're not going to get away with this. We're not going to allow this to happen. That would be an incredible PR move. And I think I would love for them to do it. I mean, I don't have the money to do any of this stuff, so what do I know? But
well, we just don't buy the jet.
If we skimp on the jet and just do some legal support instead, yeah, maybe. I mean, if you guys would donate more than 500 sats in a fucking boost, maybe we could support somebody. But for now, all we can afford is Jackie. We can only get Jackie.
Vinny Boombots is also available too.
Yeah, Vinny Boombot. That's his doctor, though. That's Rodney Dangerfield's doctor, not his lawyer.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who's his lawyer? Did he mention?
I don't know. My dad used to say Vinny Boombot all the time, and I heard it in an Instagram thing for Dangerfield a little while ago. I meant to message him that. The jig's up. The jig's up.
Fox, they broke a story that the Democrats, they're launching a new campaign called Crypto for Harris.
Cool.
Yeah. And the goal of this is to provide some counterplay to Donald Trump because, his recent discussions about Bitcoin and all that stuff. But to launch this campaign, they're going to be holding a virtual town hall sometime this week, Joey. And one of the guest speakers includes Mark Cuban. So, all right, let's keep moving on in this story because there's a person by the name of Jonathan Padilla. And he's a CEO of Web3 marketing firm Snickerdoodle.
Great.
And he's one of the people behind the group that's the Crypto for Harris. And he says the United States must continue to be a leader in blockchain and crypto, and groups for Crypto for Harris are working hard to ensure.
What an idiot. What an idiot. To quote the great Kevin Muir, people who say blockchain technology are some of the biggest douchebags on the planet. And Kev was spot on there. He said that unprompted. Like, this is a guy, whether he agrees on Bitcoin or not, he at least understands that these other blockchain guys are con men. This is
a shitcoin thing, right? We have this Web3 dude talking about blockchain. We have Mark Cuban. Either way, Kamala Harris, she's putting a couple of new folks, or she has put a couple of new folks on her campaign team. One being by the name of David Plouffe. He was on the advisory board for finance. And another by the name of Gene Sperling. I wonder if there's any relation to Psy. This is a former board member of Ripple.
Cool. Batting 1,000. Just let's get Packy McCormick on that fucking panel too, and then we'll really be shooting for the moon there.
The bankless guys.
Let's get Hoffman and what's the other guy's name? I forget.
I have no fucking clue.
Sean Adams, Sean Ryan Adams or something like that. Sean Hoffman, David Ryan Adams.
Yeah, but even with all this, like, they're getting into this. It looks like shitcoins all around. Fuck, I wonder what's Elizabeth Warren saying about all this.
She's got to be just absolutely frothing at the mouth. I know.
100%. And we haven't heard from her, at least within the realm of Bitcoin Twitter, for quite some time.
She's been very
silent
quiet.
With respect to this. She's probably doing other things, but yeah, man. Anyways, you want to talk any more about this, or
what is there to say?
I have nothing to say. I just
these people are slurred in the absolute worst way. They don't get it. I will say though, it's funny that Trump, for all the kind of crypto and whatnot, he slipped into the Bitcoin Magazine speech. His team, they seem to be at least keen to the Bitcoin message. I will say that the Trump crypto mega token shit that his kids are pushing, like the most cringe, dumbest thing you could do. You will for sure lose votes and money doing that. But it's better than Web3 and blockchain technology and all these things that these other people are talking about. Like, oh man, the fuck.
They've done a few rounds of NFTs.
The Trump kids? Yeah, I know.
Trump in general.
Yeah, the mega clan or whatever, right? Stupid. Oh wait, can I say clan and mega? I'm probably gonna get on some kind of hate watch list. But anyway, so
I think it got you like a dinner date or something with Donald Trump if you bought one, or there was a chance to win a dinner. Like there was something alongside.
What would you talk about on a dinner date with Donald Trump?
Golf, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, you see, he hit the pin on a 183 foot.
That's Kim Jong
par 3 yesterday or something.
Well, that's Kim Il Jong's territory because remember that guy and his father. So
he shot 17 on an 18-hole course.
It was incredible. So yeah,
witnessed by many people.
This is incredible stuff. Anyways, MSTR. I'm not sure. They had a stock split.
Recently,
10-1, and 10
I
to 1 reverse
10x my position in MSTR.
Which just like that. That's pretty that fucking good.
Yeah.
So, and this isn't the first stock split this company experienced in its history. In fact, this is the third time it's been done.
Nice.
They had a 2-for-1 split back in January 2000. They had a 1-for-10 reverse split in July 2002. And now they have this to erase that altogether. So, in all, there are 3 different splits took place in this history. But it's possible, but I don't buy into this theory that there may be a psychological impact for this split because the price, is lower. There may be unit bias amongst some retail investors.
Yeah.
And, they look at this 140 rather than $1,400. Oh, I may want to buy this because it's much cheaper. But, this is a day of fractional share ownership, right? It's much more easily to get. And I don't think that this is going to really impact retail investors all that much. Plus, how much power do retail investors have in a market? I'm
tons
familiar
of power,
with
tons of power.
If you're talking about deep fucking values and GME, yeah, but that's like a once in a lifetime occurrence, right? I don't think, and MSTR, from what I understand, is heavily shorted, but I don't think to the same degree it was GME. But given the connection between MSTR and Bitcoin, I thought the story was notable in the end. So I'm not sure if you want to add anything to this.
No, not really. Saylor continues to be, I think, a net positive for Bitcoin. I'm waiting to see what his Bitcoin development company does after this 10-to-1 stock split. My guess is nothing, SFA. And, until he actually shows me that he cares about Bitcoin development, he's just another equity. Like Dee said earlier, another Bitcoin derivative on the market. Although they're doing well. Like I DCA into MSTR. Hold your tomatoes, please. I think that generally, what is there to say about this? It's a stock split. Like you said, there used to be unit bias, but now everyone has fractional. So I don't really, I don't understand exactly why you do these things, but whatever.
This is something for people with a higher pay grade than me. I just don't know. So
we need SB. Where's SB? We got to get SB.
Yeah. He would make an awesome person to talk and give analysis as for the advantage, how advantage it is. But anyways, Joey, we're 45 minutes or so in. Let's end this Bitcoin segment.
Let's do some notables. Thanks for stopping by. If you're on video, we're gonna go until Trump and Elon start. So it's scheduled for 8, but I don't think it's gonna actually start at 8. I meant to pull up the feed in another window so I could keep an eye on it. But
what time is it supposed to start?
It starts at 8, but I don't think they'll actually start until like 8:10 or 8:15. So I think
there's gonna be some like
I think we have more than 15 minutes, but we'll see. Anyway, come back if you're on audio. We'll see you tomorrow. If you're on video, stay here. Don't do anything. Len, sign off.
Don't be a cock.
Great job. 47.
People were talking to me about that ending too this past week.
It's a great ending. It was
funny.
If it wasn't so,
they want to know the genesis of that.
If it wasn't so unfriendly for a t-shirt, I'd say we should put it on a shirt.
I think it's t-shirt friendly.
I wear my t-shirts, my CBP shirts all over the place.
You don't wear it to work.
I do wear it to work.
But not don't be a cuck.
I can't wear don't be a cuck anywhere. I have to wear it.
Yeah, you can. You can wear it you can wear it everywhere else. To a formal setting. Okay. I can't see why not. Anyways, Bank of Japan.
Yeah.
They came out this past week.
They've been busy, huh?
They've been moving markets. Fucking incredible. They said they don't plan to raise rates anytime in the near future. And this is a response to what happened 1 week ago today, Joey. In fact, that the markets were just going nuts. They decided to raise rates slightly. It almost caused a global economic meltdown as a result. From a slight increase of rates. The deputy governor of the bank did say they're going to relook at things once the markets have stabilized. So, I'm reading between the lines. I'm thinking somewhere between the years of 2285 and 2295 is when the markets will stabilize and look to be raising rates. So this thing is going to be staying like this for a long fucking time. Officially, the inflation rate in Japan for the last 2 months was reported at 2.8%.
Yeah.
That's for May and June. And the bank's goal is to get to 2%, and now without changing rates. So there's going to be a lot of fudging of numbers to get to that point. But
Len's laundry is done. Just jamming out to that.
It's done. Yeah, man. The Bank of Japan and their rates staying where it is. It's total fucking bullshit what's happening here. The bank's job is, I checked their website, single mandate to ensure sustainable price stability. That's the only thing that the Bank of Japan's there to do. That's in their mandate. Now, It's now slowly morphed into not crashing global markets. That's
Secondary mandate. Keep this
it's
whole
like
thing from burning down.
it's like this thing forked, and there was no consensus. They just fucking did it, and we're fucking now bought into this new coin. But either way, man, it's fucking bullshit. Like the amount of pressure that's going on here, and it's almost like external pressure that just being done to maintain a currency. Like it's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
Good for them what they're trying to achieve, but they're not going to be able to sustain this for much longer. I always said that this is the canary in a coal mine. We almost had it last week, but it's going to happen soon, I think.
Fiat games, right? What else can you say about this? You are watching in real time a central bank having to put its tail between its legs and say, sorry, we raised. You can guarantee that we're not going to raise again the rest of the year. Just to like kind of stabilize things, not even really stabilize them. I don't know if you saw today, gold and oil up 2% and 4%, I think, respectively. Like there's a lot of signs that things are not quite as stable as everyone says. And I think the thing to take away from this, if you're a Bitcoiner, a year or 2 years ago, any of this stuff would have sent Bitcoin down by 50 or 60%, no questions asked. And you would have expected it. We would have come on the air and laughed about it, blah, blah, blah. This time, what did you get? I'm pretty sure the name of the candle is a doji something or a star. Like this thing that has like a huge long wick, but it gets bought right back up basically to the price it was at on a weekly candle. That's where we ended up. Can't beat that. That's pretty solid, man. Like you got to like the way that we handled that price action and the way that we handled that instability. To me, Len, great, happy, no problem. Japan can do whatever it wants. If it wants to burn this thing down, let it burn it down. If it wants to stabilize it, let them stabilize it. I don't care. What I care about is the way that my Bitcoin reacted. Fantastic. This is why we don't, dabble in fiat markets. I mean, I just admitted to dollar cost averaging Mstr, but I have a tax efficient account. We got to use those things. We can't let
Do you?
Yeah, we
There's
can't.
Gonna be a time you're gonna be locked out of that.
I know, probably. I know.
Retail always comes on the short end of the stick, right? And you think that you're gonna be made whole, man. No. When shit,
I'll sell. I would guess sometime in the next year or two, honestly. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is that in general, central banks are trying so hard to control an increasingly volatile situation with old levers that no longer work from an era where there was no messaging, no communication, no Twitter, stuff like that. It's done now. Everyone is talking all the time, 24/7. Huge $1 trillion assets are trading 24/7. Gold, oil, Bitcoin, bonds, you name it, all trading 24/7. Everyone can see what the reaction is. There is no hiding anymore. And these guys are still playing an old game, and it really showed last week. But I think it's going to show again when they try and raise, presumably in 25, right? So let's see.
23, 35. So it's going to be
they say they're not going to raise the rest of this year. So that that potentially means next year of the year. I mean, I know, but still.
They say when the market stabilizes. Now they see what happens when they raise rates. They have recent data as for what's going to be the reaction, and they're not going to want to go ahead and be the trigger point as for causing the global meltdown to happen. They'll probably have somebody else be the scapegoat, but not them. But really, like you say, they painted themselves into a corner, right? Like every time they want some things just have to happen on their own.
Yeah.
If there's a shitty job report, for instance, or several shitty job reports, and the economy is tanking after a couple of quarters, and you go into a recession as per the traditional.
No, we don't do that. Like, look at the Canadian job report from last week. Net loss of 1,000 jobs. Well, we lost 42,000 private sector jobs and gained 41,000 public sector. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Those numbers just,
yeah,
it's just
incredible.
It's unbelievable that anyone buys the data dumps at this point.
Well, speaking of it's a good segue, because the jobs report in Canada, it's like you mentioned, it's not looking great, because in terms of the private sector jobs being lost and the public sector jobs being created, it's even Steven just about.
Yeah.
That's 1,000 difference in the end. Better Dwelling. It's a great website. I would recommend everybody check it out. They did some analysis of this. The year-over-year growth of the private sector jobs came in flat at 0.6%.
Yeah.
Now, if you take into consideration the rate of growth of the population, this is troubling. Furthermore, they mentioned that 1 in 4 people are now relying on the public sector. This is either people that are directly or indirectly working for the government.
Yeah.
1 in 4 people.
Yeah.
And the year over year for those type of jobs, the growth of that stands at 4.8%. That far outpaces the 0.6% of the private sector. Also of note, there is a noticeable decline for self-employed individuals. Over the year, the number of self-employed individuals did increase by 2.1%, but the number is trending downward if you look at it over a longer period of time. Since 2020, the public sector, this is a good one, Joey. Since 2020, the public sector added 4 jobs for every self-employed person job lost. That's an interesting stat
Sure
to digest.
is. Yeah.
But then we also have youth unemployment too on top of all this.
Mm-hmm.
Youth unemployment has jumped substantially. If you look at the chart for the past 3 years, you'll see it has jumped since the beginning of this year, January 2024, started at 11%, which is high, but now as of July 2024, which is the latest data we have, it's 14.2%. So and if you look at that chart, it's up and to the right, and it is sharp up to
We
the
talked
right.
about that last week. It's the highest it's basically ever been.
And it's not going to get any better because now we're at the end of summer. So student jobs likely will cease for some
golf
sectors.
courses, lifeguards. Yeah. Yeah.
CNE.
Yeah.
So, right. Like 32,000 people.
Funnel cake distribution. Yeah. That's going to be over.
It's just when you look at this and you digest everything, and it seems like everything is not looking all that great. The population's jumping, and we'll talk about that in the next story. But with respect to the jobs report, man, there's lots that can be said and nothing good, unfortunately.
I really feel good about this set of data and the stats and the number of people now talking about the percentage of Canadians that work for the public sector, because you and me have been on this beat for 2 years. And we said 2 years ago, when the number was a little closer to 20%, that if you actually look at all the people who are either working for the public sector, receiving funds from the public sector for their day-to-day life, or retired and receiving a pension on the public dime, that number was actually closer to 50%. That number now has got to be what? 60?
Well,
60?
higher than 50.
It's for sure higher than 50, and it's for sure higher than just the 5% jump in the public sector work, because more people have retired and we've brought in a lot of dependents through the immigration program. So that number is very high. And then when you talk about too, when you think about GDP, this is the thing I don't think people realize. GDP is not going negative here because we keep on bringing in immigrants. But the problem, actually, like Kev said, is that we are just spending too much money on all these things. And it's not productive spend. It's not infrastructure spend. It's not school spend. It's not, hospital spend. It's just like administrative spend. And yeah, I'm not saying every administrator is, necessarily a zero value job. I think there's a lot of good administrators and a lot of good public servants at all levels of government, municipal, federal, provincial, you name it. But it can't get to 20% or 25%. It's just too high, because at 25% of people who are employed working for the government and 20% of the entire population collecting a pension of some kind, you run into a problem with productivity and being able to take money from productive people to pay for non-productive Canadians. These are harsh terms, but in an economic sense, this is, pretty cut and dry. The bigger problem though, Len, is that if we cut those jobs, we lose tons of GDP, and we can't lose that GDP. And if we, consider even stuff like baby bonuses, for example, how many people are receiving baby bonuses? That's a whole other kind of percentage of GDP that we don't talk about, right? But I'm pretty sure you get a baby bonus until your kid is 18. You would know. Are you getting a baby bonus? You have a daughter.
Yeah, but she's not 18.
No, but up until she's 18, you get something.
But you know what? The thing is, I can't be like, I think there's, if you earn too much,
you still get something, don't you?
Do you? I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure you do. I'm pretty sure there's no zero baby bonus. And so let's say, even if you earn too much, there's a lot of people who don't, and they get baby bonuses. Like, all these things add up when it comes to GDP. And so the question is not now is not, well, how many Canadians work for the government? No. The question we have to transition to is what percentage of GDP is actually just fake money, fake productivity, transfer payments, baby bonuses, pension savings fund or pension funds, all this stuff. We gotta know what that number is. Len, I bet you that number. Are you ready for this?
Go ahead.
I bet you that number is 70%. Then if you add real estate, I bet you that number jumps to 80%. And if 80% of your economy is either people getting paid by the government, people working for the government, or people selling houses to each other, that's not good. That's really not good. And I want Better Dwelling to find that out. I don't have the bandwidth to figure that out. Although probably if I spent a day doing it, I could figure something out. But like that number's got to be super high. That's the one we should be concerned about, because GDP per capita is one boogeyman that's starting to come out of the closet a little bit. But that other one, how much GDP is actually just like pretend productivity, that's going to knock people's socks off. When that starts to come out, there's not going to be too many tweets about how strong the economy is, I don't think. Pretty sure those will stop rather quickly.
So, interesting stat I got about population, Joey. In the last 3 years, Ontario's population grew by a total of 1.2 million people.
Insane.
And
they're all in Toronto, Brampton, Oakville, Mississauga.
Yeah, a good chunk will go to the Greater
much.
Toronto
100, 200 kilometer radius, something like that. Not a very big area.
And in the first 6 months of 2024, Ontario's population grew by 200,000 people. So if you prorate this, there is not a noticeable change. It's 1.2 million over 3 years period of time. So, so it's not looking all that good in terms of lowering the number of people coming to Canada, but it seems like that's the intention by the government. And so if they are going to be changing this, it hasn't yet happened. It hasn't transpired in the first 6 months of this year, at least within Ontario. Mm-hmm. And as per a Toronto Star article, Ontario experienced a decade's worth of population growth in just 3 years. And it says in the article that we can't support that growth without building more homes. Even the Toronto Star is getting on this bandwagon as well, because they mentioned that 1-bedroom apartments are now renting for over $2,000 in the GTA. Man, it's a lot of people, like 1.2 million. I don't know what the percentage of that is going to Conestoga, but it may be measurable. Either way, they're here, and we have to deal with that many more people driving cars, using services like health, school, and shit like that.
It's damaging. It's damaging.
I
was saying to my wife the other day that it doesn't seem like there's a lot more traffic here than there was a few years ago. But when we go to the cottage now, you used to just get traffic at the 400 Barrie, that sort of interchange there. Now there's traffic just as soon as you get on the 403. There's just way too many people. And how many extra highways were built during that immigration boom? How many?
I wouldn't have a clue.
The answer is zero, materially zero. Well, come on.
So,
the big ones, 403 has not been expanded lane wise. QEW has not been expanded lane wise.
407 we had in the past.
407's been there forever. It's private. You can't.
It was the 90s. It came to it. There was
but in the last 2 years, I'm saying. In the last 2 years, I'm saying.
No, but you're right in that respect. But I just wanted to state we had 407, and they expanded that quite a bit in the past few 20 years.
It goes
that one going north and south from the 407 to the 401. That is a pay. I forget the name of that highway or number of that highway, but that is recent. That is the past 10 years that came into be. So it's not like building a highway takes forever, right? Like you have to buy the land.
The point is that there's no planning. Like building a highway takes forever. That's right. Building a hospital takes forever. Building 50, 60, 70, 150, 300 schools for 1 million more people takes forever. We didn't do any of it. We just brought the people in and said, good luck. And now you have these, videos by this time that everybody has seen of 20 beds in a basement in Brampton, all these different problems with overcrowding with immigrant rentals. And, sort of, I think chief among them, honestly, Len, we haven't even seen yet when hospitals become overcrowded as boomers really age into their delicate years. God bless them. I hope they don't come soon, but how do you fix that now is the question I think you have to ask. How do you fix it?
I don't know. What is the answer to this? Is they're here. Yeah. People are here.
Yeah.
And if this was done over a slow enough period of time that the society services and everything could have absorbed, just like the way it was done in a previous bunch of years.
Yeah.
I think it would have been fine. But just because everything was accelerated, I don't know.
Now forget it.
Problem.
Yeah, now
Yeah,
forget it.
which is too bad. And you know, it kind of reminds me of when you're dealing with municipalities. We'll be quick on this because I know we're now getting close to.
I'm telling, I have some tentacles out there to see when they actually start talking. Apparently, they're having some technical difficulties. Elon came.
It's working for me. The Twitter is at least for me. Anyways,
Pop
this
on the
whole like
audio. Pop on the autos. Are they talking?
no. I mean, somebody was saying that Twitter's down for some folks.
I can't join the space, so I don't know if they're talking or not.
Is it a space that's going on right now?
It's on Trump's Twitter. Trump is hosting it.
Oh, he's back on Twitter.
Yeah, he was tweeting all day today.
Fuck off.
I'm dead serious. Okay, let's see. Let's see. No, space not available, it says. So I don't know.
Okay, well, it is what it is. So you know what, Joey? I think with that being said, because it's gonna make for shitty audio and shitty video, I think we should end it here.
Sure. Okay. Listen, enjoy the space, Donald and Elon, and come back tomorrow night. Listen, if you're an audio listener, I mean, you may or may not be, but I would come to YouTube tomorrow because Moorburst is a big chart guy. He told me that. I watched him on Livera, lots of charts, lots of data. I'm going to have some good questions for him that I've been thinking about for a long time and looking into, and I know he's going to have great answers. So please stop in. You will dig it. And yeah, until then, take care of yourselves.
And don't be a cock.